Welcome back to the Cricket Today podcast on Thursday, January 18. Excited for another huge week of cricket. I'm your host, Liam McAllion, also known as the Stats Guy. Absolutely pumped that Test cricket is back with the Australia and the West Indies. Awesome day one. I'm here with Marcus Bazzano. Actually turned up for work today. We've had to sub him out for Leo. I can't get them both on the same show. It's Leo's 12th man today, and Marcus is back up into the top order. How you going, Marcus?
Oh, it feels good. It feels like I've been dropped back down to the threes, and I'm coming in higher up the order. But no, I'm doing great. It's just a shame that Leo wasn't able to join us today.
Oh, that sounds like something bad's happened to him. He's all good, folks, but yeah, he's just not on today. I feel like maybe you're Cam Green coming back into the lineup, coming into that 4 or 5 spot into the batting lineup. Don't mind that. Best time of year, as I've mentioned, all summer. BBL's heading up now, really close to the finals. Tomorrow night they start. We've got a great start to the Test match between Australia and the West Indies in Adelaide. So we're going to wrap up that day one of that, which was absolutely bonkers. We've got both teams have had a bat now, and then so we're going to do a fun wrap with that, including some little segments that we like to get into with our Big Bash. But we're going to do that in Test world. Then we're going to have a look at a BBL team of the tournament because the season's done now. We had a washout last night, unfortunately, between the Sydney Thunder and the Melbourne Renegades. The Thunder were trying to get off the bottom of the ladder, but they couldn't because the rain stuffed them up there. They thought they had a chance to smash the Gades. Then we're going to finish off with some BBL title predictions ahead of the finals, and I feel like we've got a few different ones in there, which was pretty interesting.
I think it'll be sort of interesting, and maybe you might have to check out the socials later if you're listening to this, because we might also do a sort of look on how we had our ladder prediction at the start of the season. Might have to compare it, because I think there might be some big changes in there for some people.
Yeah, you're not wrong, actually. We might have to flip some of our ladder predictions, I reckon. But yeah, actually, that could be a good comparison video. So check that out on all the socials on Cricket Today AU and Cricket Today Pod. Day one, Australia versus West Indies recap in Adelaide. I'm going to quickly go through the scores. West Indies, we bowled them out, Australia, for 188 off 60, the 63rd over. Cummins and Hazelwood with a 4-fer. Interesting stat here from the Stats Guy. Hoff reaching 250 Test wickets. That means that Hazelwood, the Hoff, Gaz, Lyon, Cummins and Stark are all over 250 wickets now, which is an unbelievable effort. And they're all 4 of them are in the top 11 wicket takers for Australia. I think that's an amazing effort. And is this the best bowling attack Australia has ever seen, Marcus? I'm just going to lob that up to you right now.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about it on a previous podcast, but statistically, they are the best.
Yeah.
Although I don't think, as in, we got Pat Cummins, who's a match winner, Nathan Lyon is a match winner, but will we be talking about, like, let's say, Mitchell Stark, Josh Hazelwood as the likes of Glenn McGrath, the way that we speak about them today? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But as a full bowling foursome, it just has to be probably the best that Australia has had in recent memory, and we're winning everything under the sun, aren't we? So yeah, can't really complain.
No, not at all. Not at all. They've been absolutely awesome. Some absolute peaches from Cummins yesterday with that 4-fer as well. I thought he was going to get another 5-fer, which would have been 3 in his last 4 innings. Hazel with a 4-fer as well. Then we're going to have a look at the West Indies side of things. Mackenzie with a 50, pretty solid off 94 balls. Probably he was the only one in the top order to make over, I think it was about 15, 20 runs. So they really needed him to just dig deep, and he did really well. But the partnership at the end there, if you want to go through that one, Marcus, was absolutely nuts for the last wicket partnership between Shamar Joseph and Kemar Roach.
Geez, yeah, that last partnership was great, wasn't it? I think, what did they end up putting on? About 55, in between 50 and 60 runs, I think. Unbelievable, especially for a bloke on his debut. Shamar Joseph, excellent, 36 or 41. He was smacking Josh Hazelwood around for a little bit, wasn't he? And I think that'll probably lead into your slog of the day. I reckon he might take out that award. Yeah, slog of the day. You got to chuck in Shamar Joseph. The on debut, as you mentioned, he made 36 off 41, but that massive slog he hit Hazelwood over cow corner. You don't see that from a number 11. I think it was the highest score made by number 11 on debut for the West Indies. So he's already breaking records in his first match. Bring him up the order. You'll do a better job than what the top 6 did yesterday, I reckon.
Oh my God. There was some horrible shots. There was a few guys trying to play some attacking shots. Their head was in the clouds. Shamar Joseph at number 11 was just, I think he's only played 5 first-class matches. So that's his highest score in first-class cricket. And it was against, as we mentioned, the best bowling attack probably Australia's ever seen. So he was absolutely slogging him. Even was coming down the wicket to Pat Cummins, which no one in the world does. So I think that was an awesome effort from Big Joseph in his first match. I'll quickly do the scores for Australia. We ended up batting for, I think it was about, how many overs was it? 27 overs.
About an hour.
Yeah, about an hour. It's 2 for 59 we ended up with, so pretty solid from the Windies to get too far. That too far was Smith out for 12. Leo was was spot on yesterday. He said Smith wasn't going to make more than 15 opening in his first time ever. And then Khawaja 10 as well. Lucky not to get out on a duck, reaching outside off.
Well, Marnus made 10. So Khawaja's still in on
sorry.
on
Marnus made 10. My bad. Yes. Khawaja's still in because he got dropped on very early. But one of those wickets that Australia lost was the Jaffa of the day, Marcus, if you want to get into that one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, just for a touch, how good was Shamar Joseph, though, honestly? That was probably one of the best Test debuts. There's been a lot of great ones, especially for Australia, but definitely in recent memory, that was one of the best Test debuts I've ever seen. He just looks like he has so much freedom, doesn't he? He looks so good. He was coming in, dancing down the wicket. Looked like he was a bit nervous coming in. First ball, he had to redo his run-up.
Yeah.
But in his first ball in Test cricket, he gets one of the best Test batsmen out in recent history in Steve Smith. Opened the batting, but you know what? You'll take Steve Smith as your first Test wicket, and to back it up with Marnus as your second is very, very impressive. I would have loved that on my CV.
Yeah, you were on a hat trick on the weekend. Was that close to that Joseph effort?
It wasn't as good. I think mine just we just played and missed and hit the stumps, but at least had a couple of good jaffas in there. But I think it was a little bit concerning. I think Smith and Marnus, to be honest. We say that they haven't been in the best of form, but I think both of them were in the top 5 runs for Test runs in 2023.
Yep.
But you know what? We did that experiment work. I think we still just got to give it a little bit more time. But I just thought, just Marnus, particularly on that short ball, just looked so vulnerable. I'm not sure why you would take that on. I don't know. It's just because, we're playing the West Indies. They didn't get the best of scores. But you know what? You got to treat your opponent with a little bit of respect. And it was a good bouncer. Yeah, and we'll definitely, I think today the Aussies will treat Shamar Joseph with a bit of respect. That peach to Smith, I know people are going to say, should he open, should he not? It was a great ball cutting out, so it was an absolutely awesome, absolute peach. So I love saying a peach. I'll have a quickly finish off for day one wrap at the moral victory of today. I think Leo chucked this in there, so I'll read it out for him. Steve Smith gets to open, so that's a bit of a victory for him because he wanted to move up the order, have a bit of a challenge. But he only made 12, so he's done a bit of an English effort there to move up the order and have a bit of a moral victory. I feel a bit sorry for Cam Green actually, because he's come out and he said that he would have been interested to open the batting as well, which I probably would have preferred than Smith opening and him at 4, to be honest with you, because I would rather Cam Green open with Khawaja, leave Smithy and Marnus to back it up at 3 and 4, but. This Test series is just going to be a little bit of experimenting, isn't it? Yeah, I don't mind the experimenting because that means it might be a bit closer between Australia and West Indies because, it still looks like we could smash them, but they've got 2 wickets, and if Shamar Joseph can get a fifer, which wouldn't surprise me, then, they can stay in this game. All right, that's day 1 wrap, so let's get into the day 2 preview. What's day 2 got in store? What do you reckon is going to happen for the rest of the Test match or just day 2 in general for this one, Marcus? Well, I think we're just going to prove why we're the best Test team and the best cricket side in the world. Yep. In almost all formats and particularly in Test matches. So I think that we could see a few half centuries on the cards. I wouldn't be surprised if Khawaja maybe goes on and makes a ton. That might be a big call there. But I think, in all honesty, we could also see West Indies going back into bat as well. Towards the end of the day, and I'll tell you what, they better not be as embarrassing as they were in the first innings with the bat. Yeah, well, you're right. If a few of those guys sort of in the top order made a quick 30, no, not even a quick 30, just stayed in for about 20, 30 runs, they wouldn't have been on a horrible score because obviously the lower order did really well. So, they just need to bounce back quickly, West Indies, but I think it's going to be tough. As the Test match goes on, we'll get wickets a bit quicker. My day 2 prediction, I feel like it's going to be a bit like a one day. I feel like Cam Green is going to, as I mentioned this on yesterday's show, I think he's going to make a ton. I think it's going to be a pretty quick strike rate. Same as Trav Ball. I think Trav's going to come in, Travis Head, and absolutely tear it up. He loves playing at his home ground, the Adelaide Oval. I think he could, sort of play it a few blocks, and then he'll just go for it every over. 1, 4 or 6 sort of every over.
just sort of like that one day style. So I think it's going to be a big day for the Aussies with the bat. And then, as I mentioned before, I wouldn't be surprised if Joseph gets a fifer. He was their most, either Joseph. So you got Alzari Joseph as well. I think he was pretty solid yesterday, stiff not to get a wicket. So I'll go Shamar Joseph for a fifer and a green ton. I'm very aggressive on my picks today.
Yeah, there we go. But I just had a quick, I just added up the West Indies batting stats, and 6 of their top 7, minus Mackenzie, of course, totaled for 55 runs, and that only just pipped Mackenzie's score of 50. Like, it's not like he scored a massive score of even 80 plus. The bloke scored 50, and the rest of your job. I'd be absolutely filthy I'd be so filthy if I was the bowlers, especially Shamar Joseph as well. On test debut, having to do all the work himself.
I know, he's like standing there like, guys, why do I have to do everything? What the hell?
Come on, lads. I was bringing out the drinks a week ago, and now and now I'm showing you up. But
maybe they should flip the order around, because even Kemar Roach was pretty positive. Chuck Roach and Joseph opening, Mackenzie at 3 just because he made a 50, and then all the rest can just fight over the rest of the spots. I reckon
team full of bowlers for the next Test match. Team full of bowlers. Why not?
Jeez, they could get out for 10 if they do that. I reckon they might beat the Sydney Thunder in the Big Bash's 15. That would be pretty bad. All right, so that's our Australia versus West Indies preview for day 2, which we're excited about in a couple of hours. Let's have a look at Afghanistan versus India. I didn't think we'd be talking about this, but overnight in the, was it a T20? There was a double super over. I don't think I've ever seen a double super over before. India won in dramatic circumstances. I don't know if you have the scores up there, Marcus, but
no, I don't. But I'm pretty sure India in the second super over ended up making, I think, about 11, and Afghanistan, got 2 for 1, I think, and then their innings was done.
Yeah, they only made 1 run in the second super over Afghanistan. You got Boshnoi, who was really good. He got 3 balls, 3 dot balls, and only three balls and only conceded 1 run in that super over. You get 2 wickets in a super over as well. Your innings is done. So there was wickets dropping in both of them. They didn't finish their overs. All the super overs didn't finish. I don't know what that pitch was doing.
I actually hate that rule. 2 wickets and you're done. I think that's pretty stiff, because if you want to go out there and get the biggest score you can, you're going to have a dip, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you might as well put your number 8 bowler in there, who will just, have a shot to cow corner. The bat's only going in one direction and the head's up in the skies. But you know what? If he gets onto one, it's going far.
Yeah.
But I thought that rules. And what do you reckon? Do you think Rohit Sharma should be allowed to bat again, or those players to bat again? If you get out in the first super over, should you be allowed to come back in and bat in the second?
That's a very good call. I didn't even think about that. No way should you be able to go again, because you've been out twice. If you're a top order player, you've probably been out twice already. Surely not bloody baseball where you get three strikes. I think that's a horrible rule. An interesting one as well. There was only 10 wickets combined for both sides in the match. They both made 212, so it was a really good pitch. And then in the super over, they all forgot how to play cricket, and there was like 4 wickets. So I think it's very similar to how how we have the power surge in the Big Bash. I think it just gets to your head a little bit. Where you've got to play some shots, and that can lead to wickets. Yeah, and you're always going to back India. I feel for Afghanistan, because this was their chance to get a huge win, but you're always going to back India at home, especially when it's coming down right to the wire. I know they had to go to a second super over, but in that second super over, I think they were always going to get the job done. Yeah, but that's an awesome match, and we'll have to check out the highlights of that one.
I think they ended up clean sweeping the series, didn't they? The 2020 series. I think they ended up winning 3-0. But Afghanistan, you know what? They're a pretty good short format team, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see some big upsets from them in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked up a lot of the lower sort of ranked teams in the World Cup, how close the white ball Test cricket is definitely not close. You sort of got the big 3 or the big 4, but in the white ball format, it's so close. Even the Netherlands caused a few upsets, obviously, in the World Cup. So we're loving white ball cricket at the moment. All right, let's switch back to Big Bash. We love talking about the Big Bash. The season's done. We've got the Heat and the Sixers playing tomorrow night in the qualifier final. But before we get into that in tomorrow's episode, let's have a look at our team of the tournament, Marcus. So Leo's had a big chat about this in the office. We've all had a big chat about this, but we've got some different ones. Who's your team of the tournament for BBL 13?
Yeah, well, I think it just has to be a pair of Adelaide strikers, openers, doesn't it, really? Matt Short, don't need to say much about him. Chris Lynn missed a little chunk of games as well, but still finished in the top 3 run scorers, I believe, for the Big Bash this season, which says that for himself. Aaron Harding at 3, I've gone. I could even swap him with Jake Fraser McGurk, who I've put in at 4. I just think they're both very handy with the bat. And geez, Jake Fraser McGurk, he's going to be a star, isn't he? In the future of Australian cricket.
Definitely.
I've gone a pair of stars all-rounders actually for 5 and 6, which is surprising now that I think about it. I've gone Glenn Maxwell and Bo Webster. So there's plenty of experience in there. Can do the job with both bat and ball, bit of pace, bit of spin. And I'll leave that up with another couple of all-rounders. Taul. He just had to come in, didn't he? We love him here on the Cricket Today show. Gone with Jamie Overton as well. And to finish off with the bowlers, I've got Bartlett, who finished equal with wickets with Overton, I believe, 16 wickets for the regular season.
Yep.
I've gone for my spinner. I've gone Cam Boyce. I thought he's done an excellent job with Rashid Khan out of the side. He was always getting around 2 for 15, those sort of figures. So he'll come in as my spinner, and then we'll finish off with Jason Berendorf.
Ooh, yeah, you got to finish off with him. He's a classic number 11, and I think he got 13 wickets as well, so that's really solid. I was going to read out my team, but I realised we've got a very, very similar team. The only difference I had in there is I had Laurie Evans, so I put Hardy and Laurie Evans from the Scorchers. I think Laurie Evans was awesome. He had a couple of 70s where he's just hitting them off about 30 balls. I think he's had an awesome return to his career where he got done with a doping scandal that it was a false positive test. So I felt that the cricket world was feeling for him when he came back, that he had to take a bit of time off and stuff. And now he's back and absolutely tearing it up. So good on the Englishman, Laurie Evans. But yeah, I think the rest of our team there is pretty similar.
Yeah, very similar. Just sub out Maxwell, bring in Laurie Evans.
Yeah, I don't really want to put Maxi. I feel like, although he was good, I feel like to his standards, he needed to lift in a few big games for the Stars and didn't. So I don't want to put him in there. I think Fraser McGurk's one of the most exciting players, so he had to put him in there. Maybe some honourable mentions that Leo chucked in his one. Dwarshuis, really solid for the Sixers. I feel like the Sixers are so well-rounded that they're very stiff not to have a player in our team in the tournament. Yeah,
they're playing in the qualifier, aren't they? They finished second.
Yep.
But we don't have any representation of them in our teams. But I think, yeah, you're right. I think they just got players who can sort of lift up on a match. But I don't think they were particularly impressive. I know it's hard to say, even though they finished second. I don't think they were that good. To be honest, they had a good game, a good end to the season with a couple of good wins. But throughout the season, I think they were fairly lucky to win a few of those games.
No, I'll agree with that. They had a lot of close games, the Sixers. I think we say this every year for the Scorchers and the Sixers. They know how to win. They just they get over the line. They might not always look really good, and then when it comes finals time, they absolutely tear it up. Especially like sort of those experienced guys like Silk, Dwarshuis, Abbott. They've just got so much experience, so you can still back them in the finals. But you're right. I feel like it wasn't easy to put him into our team of the tournament. So that's our team of the tournament. Mainly, Marcus and I are pretty much on the same page. Glad we got Paul in there. I think he better sign another Big Bash contract because he is absolutely awesome to watch. All right, let's finish off the show with our BBL 13 title predictions. I'll quickly read out Leo's one. He's not here, but I might as well read that one out. He's gone with the Scorchers. They finished third, so they're into the knockout match, which I can't remember the last time that the Scorchers didn't finish in the top 2. So this feels weird that they're in a knockout match. He's gone with the Scorchers, but it's still a fair pick because they've won the last 2 and they're just always really good, and they've got those T20 specific players. Who are you going, Marcus?
I'm going with Leo. I'm going with the Scorchers as well because I just think, although they're not going to have a home final, whichever way it goes about, they just like you just said, Stats guy, they know how to win games. And the good teams know how to win games, and they know that pressure, they feel that pressure, and they've got so much young talent. Even when the older guys aren't performing, we're looking at even the Big Bash final last season. Cooper Connolly was the man who dragged them over the line to claim that Big Bash title. And I just think, you know what, they have the experience to do it. So I think, you'd be a brave man to sort of back against them.
Ooh, I'm going to be a brave man. I feel like this is their sort of era of dominating is over for now. They might just come out and absolutely smash it next year. But I feel like the Heat, it's time for the Heat to have a few really good years. So they obviously made the final last year. Definitely experience was lacking with some of the balls they were bowling to Cooper Connolly, where he was absolutely tearing them up. I feel like that experience is locked in now. They finished first. They get 2 home finals. I know they're not at the Gabba, but at least they're not at this SCG or they're not at Optus Stadium. I think the Sydney Sixers and Scorchers are the two other best teams, and they don't get to play at home. So I think that's a massive advantage to the Heat because, most of these sort of big teams in the Big Bash just love playing at home. And I think their bowling attack, we know their batting's pretty solid at the Heat, but their bowling attack is absolutely awesome. You've got Nisa, Johnson, Bartlett, just a lot of guys that would be the best bowlers in some of the other Big Bash teams. So I got to go the Heat, yeah.
Yeah, even Kuhneman with
Kuhneman.
Ball in hand. He knows how to, he always just chimes in, doesn't he, with a couple of wickets. But I think, you know what, it's going to be so interesting, this BBL final series, because, you know, Perth Scorchers normally just finish top every year.
Yeah.
They're going to finish with a home grand final, and you know what, that's 80-20%. They're going to win the flag. But, you know, this time around, it's so even. And even with, you know, even if the Sydney Sixers can win the qualifier, they'll get a final at the SCG, which is a huge advantage. And, you know, even they could win it because they have the experience as well as the Perth Scorchers.
Yeah, I feel like we're leaning towards the top three, but we haven't even mentioned the strikers. I don't think they can go all the way just because their middle order sort of lets them down. But if Matt Shaw and Lynn both make a big score, then they make 200 plus. They got a big chance as well. Yeah.
I'm just looking at their pace bowling attack. I just don't think. I think they're playing the Scorchers, aren't they, in Perth? Yeah, and you need a good pace attack in Perth, and you know I think they just get hit for too many runs, don't they? But they do have David Payne returning there, who knows how to bowl on that pitch.
Yep. Yeah, true. He hasn't had the best season. We were talking about David Payne last week, but he did play pretty well for the Scorchers a season ago. So, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, you're going the Scorchers. Leo's going the Scorchers. I'm going to go the Heat. So we'll see how that goes, and we're pumped for the finals to start tomorrow. All right, that's it for the Cricket Today show. We'll be back with this tomorrow, so get right around the show. Leo will be back tomorrow. Subscribe on your podcast apps, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. Like and review it, would you? Chuck a follow to Cricket Today and Cricket Today AU all over the socials. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Get around those socials for Football Today AU and the Spotify and Apple Podcasts for that as well. Football Today Pod, that's on the socials as well. We've got a lot of stuff covered for the EPL, FA Cups this morning. You got the AFCON, you got the Asian Cup. So any football fans, world football fans, get around that. Send any questions to Cricket Today via the socials. Anything you want to chat to us about. Bubba Azam's #1 fan will be all over the socials. Marcus will be still going with that. And that's it, I think. Thank you, Marcus.
Cheers, Tasco.
Thanks, Jared, for producing. Thanks to me. And that's another episode of Cricket Today done. We're out.